of May 6, 2024 to order, and if you would please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers.
Here.
Ellenboss.
Here.
Ingalls. King.
Here.
Mayor Folkins.
Here. At this time, if we could have somebody entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it's been presented.
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls. King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. It's time for our first public comment this evening. If you do come forward, we ask that you state your name, and then if you would write your name and address for the clerk, that would be very much appreciated by Sandy. And if you could keep your comments 3 minutes or less, that's also appreciated. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm Dave Maynard, live here in Cadillac, 812 Everett Street. What else am I supposed to say? Less than 2 minutes. I'm here to support the increase in the utilities. I work for Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, but I'm here as a citizen tonight. But that's important because I've worked with Jeff and the other utilities on and off for several years now, and I have a lot of respect for the utilities here, and I think it's sensible to have a little increase every year so that people don't get whacked. They can kind of work it into their budgets, and you certainly need to keep the revenue coming in to support the utilities. It's not a tax, you're paying for a commodity. And running utilities is a very, very expensive endeavor. I imagine the electric bill alone is massive, but you also have individuals that have to be certified and trained, and there's a laboratory here that has to be staffed, and sampling that has to be done. It's just, there's quite a bit of expense that goes into it. And it's kind of like if your grandfather gave you a truck and you drove the truck, you should be putting a little money aside so that eventually that truck's not going to run anymore. And I support that sort of thing. So that's all I have. Oh.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comments and move to the approval of the consent agenda. And this evening, we do have the minutes from the regular meeting that was held on April 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Councilmember Ingalls. King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, we do have a public hearing this evening, so I'm going to turn it over to Owen for him to introduce that.
All right, great, thank you. So the public hearing tonight is in regards to some road right-of-ways that the city has currently over in the property by the new jail facility that is owned by Wexford County. And the county has purchased a number of these lots and has asked that the roadway in there and a couple of small sections of alley be vacated by the city with just the reservation of a public utility easement. So no additional concerns regarding that action tonight.
Okay. We'll go ahead then and open the public comment as it relates to this topic. And the rules are the same as the first. If you come forward, just state your name and then write your address. And during public comment for public hearings, we do allow 6 minutes. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to discussion amongst the council or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to adopt ordinance vacating certain streets and alleys and reserving a public utility easement in favor of the city of Cadillac.
Second.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls, Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. And we have many communications for this evening, Sandy.
Yes, we do. It's being recommended to approve the parade route for the Memorial Day Parade on May 27th, 2024.
I'd make a motion to approve the parade route for the Memorial Day Parade on May 27th, 2024.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls, King,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
It's being recommended to approve the closure of Mitchell Street from Cass Street to Nelson Street from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on June 9th, 2024 for the Back to the Bricks car show.
I'd make a motion to approve the closure of Mitchell Street from Cass Street to Nelson Street from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on June 9th, 2024 for the Back to the Bricks car show.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls, King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
It's being recommended to approve the closure of Cass Street from Mitchell Street to Lake Street and the closure of the Cadillac Commons Plaza parking lot from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on June 10th, 2024 for the Bandit Run.
I'd make a motion to approve the closure of Cass Street from Mitchell Street to Lake Street and the closure of the Cadillac Commons Plaza parking lot from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on June 10th, 2024 for the Bandit Run.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls, King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
It's being recommended to approve the closure of Lake Street from Harris to Cass from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursdays from June 20th through August 22nd, 2024 for Upbeat Cadillac.
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of Lake Street from Harris to Cass from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursdays from June 20th, 2024 through August 22nd, 2024 for Upbeat Cadillac.
I'll second.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls, Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. I would just like to make a note, and I have a request, same as last year, is that we hold Upbeat Cadillac accountable for making sure that the vehicles are pulled away from the pavilion once they've offloaded and they go back to the parking lot during the performances.
All right, I will pass that along.
Thank you.
It's being recommended to approve the street and parking lot closures from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on July 15th, 2024 as presented for the Model T International Group.
I'd make a motion to approve the street and parking lot closures from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on July 15th, 2024 as presented for the Model T International Group. Sounds like fun.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls, King,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. Kathy, is that why you're here this evening? Did you want to say anything about that event?
I just, since our office submitted,
Can you come up to the microphone?
apologies. Kathy Moore, the Cadillac Area Visitors Bureau. Our office had submitted the paperwork regarding the Back to the Bricks car show, the Bandit Run, and Model T. So I was just here to answer any questions, if there may be. for
You
these
all are going to
events.
have a busy summer.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, happy to answer any questions. at
thank
any
you. Okay. Okay, and then we do have an appointment this evening?
Yes, it's being recommended to approve the appointment of Mallory Bosher to the Downtown Development Authority for a 4-year term to expire on May 6, 2028.
I will make that motion to approve the appointment of Mallory Bosher to the Downtown Development Authority for a 4-year term to expire on May 6th, 2028.
I'll second.
Councilmember Ellenboss?
Yes.
Ingalls? King?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries. And city managers report. Owen.
Yes, thank you. 2 purchases tonight. Both of them were in the budget for the year, and both of the bids came in under the budget. So good news on that front. The first one is for a grinder pump replacement, and this is for the bathroom facility down near the Rotary Performing Arts Pavilion. There's currently a simplex system in there right now, 1 pump in a pit, and you can imagine we've had a couple of issues with that pump, and we've had to shut down the bathrooms in the middle of the busy summer as a result. And when the pumps don't work, you can imagine there's nowhere for this stuff to go. So the recommendation was from the contractor that has worked on that a couple of times to put a duplex system in there, which is just kind of a 2-pump system, and so it's going to be a little bit more robust to do the work that it's designed to do. So we had budgeted $30,000 for that project. Requested bids, received 3 of them, and the award is, the recommendation is to award that to the low bidder, Frankie Septic Services, in the amount of $25,500.
Is this just a drop-in replacement then, or do they have to
It's
do
the whole
work?
system, the whole unit.
Do they have to do work on the?
Yep, and a new electric panel and things like that, and this
Okay.
is all
So it's
inclusive.
just not the pump, there's a
Right,
variety,
yep.
variety of other things.
Yep, all inclusive, yep.
And the work will be done before busy season starts?
Yeah, so the bathrooms aren't even opened yet, and so we're hoping to kind of have them get in
Oh,
there
they'd be
here
I
real
noticed
quick.
they weren't open and there are no porta potties there.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've all noticed that.
There was, I think someone had kind of lit fire
Oh,
in
no.
there, and so there was some vandalism, and they came and pulled them, so.
Do we
So
have
we-
so we all pay for one person?
Yeah, kind of.
And we put them back
Yeah, there you
until
go.
we open?
Yeah, so we'll work on that.
Okay.
Yep, we'll work with
Because
the
people
vendor.
kind of
on that.
count on
Yeah,
that there.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yep. And so, yeah, he's hoping to get this work done real quick, so.
Great, thank you.
Are you gonna open the bathrooms before the pumps go in or not?
Depends on
The
what
da-
we hear when we actually authorize them to order the pumps.
Do you have a date when they're gonna be open?
I do not, no,
Okay,
no.
alrighty.
I think Memorial Day, though, is typically the target, because you never know if they're not winterized, or they're not, if it's gonna freeze, you kind of have to have them shut down. So to protect against that is typically then Memorial Day is the target.
Alrighty. I'd make a motion to award the replacement of the grinder pump in the lakefront bathroom to Frankie Septic Services in accordance with their bid.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls? King?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The second item is the purchase of ventilation fans for the Cadillac Fire Department. These fans are used to clear smoke when you're on a fire scene from a structure or whatever the case may be. They're battery operated. We do have some gas operated ones right now, which, as you can imagine.
Using a fire?
Yes, exactly. So those still work. We'll keep them on hand, but these will be an enhancement in safety for the department. Also, the batteries are compatible with a number of the other tools that they have, so that's a good thing as well. We had budgeted $18,000 for the project. The bids, we received 6 bids, and the recommendation is to award to the lowest compliant bid. One was a little bit lower by about $600, but didn't include all the equipment that was required. So the lowest compliant bid was W.S. Darley and Company from Itasca, Illinois, and that's the recommendation.
How many? It doesn't say how many.
2 of them, I'm sorry.
These aren't your standard,
They are not. No.
very large
Yep.
then?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how big they are. I've not seen them. But yeah, they're not a, oscillating living room fan by any means. So,
Every fire department has to have them?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to award the purchase of ventilation fans to W.S. Darley and Company in accordance with their bid.
Second.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls. Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. And then we are on to the introduction of a couple ordinances tonight.
Yep, so there's three of them, and I can just kind of do a clean sweep here as we go through, just to give some comments before the first one. They're all related to the next budget year, and so we're coming to a close on that. The first one is to adjust the water rates, the second one is to adjust the sewer rates, and the third one then is for the actual General Appropriations Act for the budget itself. The proposed change to the water and sewer rates is 3.5%, which essentially matches where the latest inflation numbers have been. And so we will have a thorough presentation for the water and the sewer rates at the next meeting prior to the public hearing for those items. Regarding the budget, we would not have a separate presentation prepared. We did that a couple of weeks ago. But we would be obviously available to answer any questions at that time. So all of these are annual ordinances related to the budget process.
Okay?
No, I'm going to be quiet this year. You know where I stand. We'll
Okay,
just make a motion.
okay.
Well, there are some comments I want to do on the budget one, but not necessarily on the water and sewer, so did we
Okay, well,
wanna-
why don't we wait until we get to that
That's
one?
what I thought, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Okay. And this is just setting the hearing, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to introduce ordinance to amend section 42-201 and 42-202, parentheses 3 of chapter 42 of the city code to adjust water rates in the city of Cadillac and set a public hearing for May 20th, 2024.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers.
Yes.
Allenboss.
No.
Ingalls. King.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, keep going. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to introduce ordinance to amend section 42-374, chapter 42 of the city code to adjust sewer rates in the city of Cadillac and set a public hearing for May 20th, 2024.
Support.
Councilmember Allenboss.
No.
Ingalls. King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. And if you want to go ahead before the motion's made?
Yeah, and on the issue of the budget, Owen, I wanted to check with you. I'm concerned that at the last planning commission meeting, it was raised by a staff member publicly that we did not have the resources in our budget to enforce our ordinances. And that really concerned me after we had discussed that in our planning meeting, and to have public comments that there is a lack of resources and ability to enforce our ordinances. I think after we've had public hearings where we have told the public we have no problem doing it, is a problem. What do we need to do before the budget's approved to make sure if we really don't have the resources we need in there? We as in council said we were going to address that, to have a discussion of increasing that budget.
I feel really good about the plan.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and that has been a regular topic of conversation. I know that there's going to be a work session before too long scheduled to discuss the plan to kind of roll out. We did add the funding in there for some additional staff resources, and so that plan begins July 1, and we've had a number of conversations internally about it, and I think we have a really good plan to move forward with that, with the additional resources that were put in to the budget that we'll be considering.
Is that just
You
the
know-
24,000 that's in the budget?
It is, but
Yep.
Marcus has been working with staff.
Yep.
And the way that they're going to manage this is shifting some responsibilities around. So while we're hiring a part-time person, they're going to be picking up some of the other responsibilities, and then one of our staff members is going to become the full-time
Yeah,
enforcement officer.
right.
I sent the manager texts on the 26th, April 26th, when I became aware of this, and I think I copied you, Mayor, and sent you one. And I haven't heard anything back, so I'm glad there's discussion, but as a council member, if there's been action discussed and I haven't heard about it, when I contacted our manager directly and have heard nothing back from him on that, that's another huge concern. I have gotten calls from numerous people saying, what the heck is going on? We were promised at hearings that we did have the money in budget to enforce, plus the ability to do it. We then have a staff member saying he didn't have the time, nor did he have the money available to him to do it. I've contacted the manager regarding that. I have not heard back from the manager. Citizens are mad. I'm mad. Why the manager wouldn't get back to me when I sent that on the 26th of April, and you're telling me, I'm not mad at you, that there have been discussions, and I'm not sure if any other council member has been contacted. I see council member Ellenboss and Shipper saying they weren't contacted. We cannot operate this way.
Well,
And just for clarification, the money that's added into the budget isn't available till July 1. So when we start, so we're trying to ramp up to that point to when that date comes and we have immediately those funds available, that we're ready to just kind of have a plan that we can execute
And I really-
step
And I
it up.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And with council, we were at our meeting, our work session, and said, if you need more money, we'll commit it now. I don't want to get to July 1 when we have citizens saying we're still having problems with enforcement, whether it's short-term rentals or blight or whatever it is, and get to July 1 with only $24,000 in the enforcement budget and find out we need to go back to council, ask for more. I'd rather address it right now. And I'm sad that I haven't been contacted to be able
Right, and
to
I-
relate. That's not your fault, man.
no, I know. And I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the fact that I know staff has been having some very productive conversations. And I'm looking forward to that work session that's planned, because that will be open to the public. And our enforcement staff will be there, all the city staff, department managers will be there. And it'll be a great opportunity to truly understand how we are holding people accountable in the enforcement process. It's unfortunate what was said at a planning commission meeting, and that has been addressed. So I would encourage you to reach out to Marcus, and I
have.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
have.
All right. So as I said, I can't speak to that, but I do know the staff's working hard to put together a session that will allow everybody to understand that they are planning to take this very seriously. And it's not going to be a $24,000 a year position. It's going to be a full-time person.
And I would encourage and ask, I would like an update from staff. I don't know
Of
if
course.
the other council members would. But before even July, I would like to know, if that number is inadequate, I want it before us.
Yes.
And I don't want it to be a last minute thing when people are saying we're not being served
Right.
by the city.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, the real evaluation for that will come, with the efforts beginning July 1. So, I think that'll give us enough of the, because a lot of the code enforcement issues are seasonal type things with blight and weeds and grass and trash. So I think the true evaluation will begin on July 1 rather than kind of be in place on July 1 with those additional resources. That's why, I think what I can say is the message is received, and we know that that's an area that collectively we all want to make sure we're committing adequate time and resources to. And everything so far points to what we have planned will be effective, and the resources in there will be adequate. So that really is the plan for now. So
Thank you. Okay. Is anybody comfortable going ahead and making the motion to set the public hearing?
Sure, I will make a motion to adopt a resolution to introduce ordinance establishing General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2025 and set a public hearing for May 20th, 2024.
Second it.
Councilmember Ingalls, King,
No.
Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
No.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes. Okay, so, Mike, at this point, then, we can't set the public hearing for our next meeting? Will it have to go out to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the charter says second half of May. Is there a discussion that we can have right now that would get us to a place where we're comfortable 2 weeks from now having a public hearing on the budget?
I can tell you if it helps, Owen, not hearing anything back from April 26th when I contacted the manager, having an issue that's so important on enforcement not being addressed until we talked about it right now, I'm furious. I think we have let the citizens down. I got so many calls from people who are saying they don't feel that we're doing it. And those public comments by that staff member, if it's been dealt with, I don't know about it, saying, A, he didn't have the resources to perform his job or the funds there to perform his job, and this is a staff member that was taking 1 day a week at another municipality. And he's now telling us, after we've told him he can't do that he doesn't have the time or money to do his job. It's unacceptable, and I can't say that talking about it right here tonight without having a discussion, which is what I've wanted to have over the past couple weeks. I'm not sure I'm comfortable making a decision for a public hearing that's that important without the information that's necessary.
And what I would say as far as the process would go is that public hearing doesn't necessarily need to result in approval of the budget that night. So if we are still able to move forward with a public hearing on that night, and we have not responded satisfactorily to the concerns regarding this particular issue, we could kind of table a vote, and we would have between May 21 and May 31, if we need to schedule a special session. We've done that, I think, once in my time here where it doesn't have to be approved that night necessarily. Obviously it would be the hope that we can get to a point where that vote could take place. But if not, that would still leave adequate time to attempt to address any concerns and still have that budget approved at the required timeline of the charter. If we're not able to set a public hearing tonight, my concern would be we would fall outside of that second half of May approval. Or we'd have to, because there's notification requirements, obviously, for a public hearing. But if we're able to have that public hearing, perhaps then, as we work hard to provide a satisfactory response to the enforcement issue, then we would still have, that period of 10 days where we could try and move to a place of approving the budget.
Well, when we had talked about it initially, when you had heard about what had happened at the Planning Commission meeting, I sit on the Planning Commission, and I did speak with Marcus directly after. And when you and I spoke about it, I said that I was very willing to sit down with you and Marcus and talk about the concerns. So, I can commit to you when Marcus gets back that we will sit down with him and make sure to have that conversation to address those concerns. And at this point, that's all I can make happen, and I'm not.
I'm not blaming you, Mayor.
I know.
You didn't cause this. Yeah.
So,
May I ask questions? Steve, did you get an email related to this issue on Friday, April 26th? Because I'm looking at a response that was provided, and it says BCC to the council, but I'm not sure if that came through.
That one was the one where I asked him to share my text with council, which I think he did. But I also had a specific request into him to contact me and update me on this and discuss it, and I have not heard.
Okay.
That email went through, but the request for information is not followed up. I just think that this issue is so important. And the trust of the public is so important. And when we had meetings where we said we had everything we needed, to have the message oh, we don't, and the person that we thought was handling it says he didn't have time. That was a person that had a day a week not to be in our city. It's just too critical. And my point now is I want to support staff, make sure we have the money in the budget to do it. But I want to know it's been thought about, and Owen, this isn't you. July 1 is too late to say we're starting the review process when we supposed to be told everybody we're enforcing all the way back, and people are saying we're not seeing it. So that's my concern. And I want to know if 24 is not enough, I want the public to know this council's going to put the money into enforcement that's needed to be able to do it. If we have ordinances, we have to enforce our ordinances. And the public feels let down at this point.
Well, I think that, in the discussions that, I've put myself in the middle of, they do understand that we as a council have committed, if you need this, ask us, and we will make that happen. I think they're trying to be good stewards of the resources that are entrusted to them, working with the staff we have, using that original $24,000 and still making this happen, rather than coming and saying we need $65,000 and we really don't. So I think that, as you say, we want to support the staff. And I think that that's what the staff is working through. And I cannot explain to you why you haven't had that conversation. But
Well, and I appreciate that, and the concern I have on whether the 24 is the right number or not is because my understanding from talking to other people who, like you were at the planning commission meeting, was the message was made clear that specific enforcement hadn't been followed up, at least on two issues, totally unrelated to short-term rentals, and the explanation that was given to the planning commission was because we don't have the resources to enforce. And I think members of our planning commissions, ones that talked to me, said, how can we even do our job if this is what staff is telling us?
right, and I
going
think, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you did.
I think that what I found out after that meeting was that was not an accurate statement. And they are going to provide us that information on what had been done so far, what was with legal, and where we were on that enforcement. So it wasn't an accurate statement, and that's all I can say to that. And it's all going to be shared with the public and with us in that meeting, but if we need to have a conversation before then, I'm committed to that.
I think we do, and frankly, again, it concerns me. I haven't heard back from the manager on that, and it worries me to make decisions when I don't have information.
Of course.
So again, I guess I would just reiterate the point that if we're able to get to a place tonight where we can establish that public hearing, that gives us our best chance of approving the budget within the requirements of the charter. Setting the public hearing and even holding the public hearing doesn't commit to a vote that very night. However, it does allow us to meet I think it's a 7-day publication notice where in the morning we'll send emails, and we have to do it. We would maybe have 1 day of flexibility to get notices to the newspaper and still be able to meet those requirements. But if we're able to have that public hearing, again, it doesn't commit to a vote or an approval that night. It would allow us, though, that next basically week and a half, 10
We can
days after the
schedule a special
20th,
meeting if we
where
need
we
it.
can hold those conversations as we try to work towards a place together where we can approve the budget then.
Do you think?
Because that takes four yes votes also. So we want to make sure we satisfactorily answer those questions so we can get to that point.
So do you think, Steve, that I'm asking you to go from here to here, but do you think that we can support the staff in going ahead and setting that public hearing? And as Owen said, we don't have to take the vote that night.
I think that minimally, if we were going to set a public hearing on that night, we would have to have an agenda item before that on the agenda for a report on enforcement and the amount for enforcement so that we have information.
Do you want that in a work session, or do you want it in this meeting?
I think we should have it in the meeting so that the public is able to
Okay.
come and hear it and address it. and those concerns. And my hope is that before then, if Owen has information, because I'm hoping that this spurs communications with all of us, that if there was more money needed, we could ask you to amend the budget anyways, or at least have the ability to tell us what was available in the budget if we asked you to add to that for enforcement at that time.
Yeah, based on our discussions, we feel like the money is adequate, and we will have a good plan to move forward. The message obviously couldn't be more clear, that this is an area where we want to focus on, and we're committed to that. I don't think there's any question that we're not as committed as council is to making sure we handle these issues, so.
I wouldn't mind having a work session concerning this for the entire council. I mean,
And I'm not precluding that.
We've been X'd out too, so,
Well, it's
if.
not really,
X'd out,
Well,
but
just
perhaps a
not
bad
in
term.
Not in the.
right, we
Not in
we
the-
really needed to have,
Okay.
and I know everybody's been busy, but we really needed that work session to happen probably before now. You guys have been working on it, and it would have been nice, because then everybody would have been in on, what are some of the solutions that the staff is coming up with, right? So, and that's an ongoing discussion, I realize, so.
So I'm gonna give it another go, and I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the resolution to introduce ordinance establishing General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2025 and set a public hearing for May 20th, 2024.
And if I could amend that motion, put it, if this is the appropriate time to say that along with that, an agenda item will be added prior to that date for staff to provide an enforcement update, but specifics on how enforcement will be done and what money is available for enforcement.
I don't know if does that have to be added there, or can that just be can't we just ask for something like that without it being on a?
You could do either.
Let's just go ahead and put it
Okay, I'll
in
put it on there.
as amended.
As amended,
Okay.
according to what council members.
And so the amendment would require an agenda item prior to basically
public hearing.
on the budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would give us this information.
Mhm.
Would also be great if that information could be sent electronically, even
Ahead of
ahead of
time.
that,
Okay.
so that we're not coming here and having to scramble it that night.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Allenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls, Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, thank you for that discussion, guys. That was good. Yep. Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor for our second public comment this evening.
Andy Van Alst, 2005 Sunnyside. Yeah, I was at that planning commission meeting. Carla, I thought you did great, or Mayor. I thought you really did a good job there of directing that and trying to get a handle on that. Was super happy I made it to that. And then one of the questions was, who's in charge of zoning enforcement? And I'm not real clear on that. John Wallace answered the question. He said Danielle and me. But it's not both of them, is it? Who's in charge? Is John? Is Danielle? Is Marcus? Are you guys? I'd like to know who's in charge of that we can go, you're not doing your job. The enforcement was neglected since that memo came out saying where the Airbnbs were allowed, the short-term rentals in TS1, TS2, and B1 and B2, and that's been years ago, and we haven't really done much. There's been some efforts to stop the short-term rentals, and I appreciate that, but at the Planning Commission, I was surprised to find out that there are other zoning issues that are neglected, and then I was also disappointed because I'm sitting there thinking, sometimes the way it doesn't become a zoning enforcement issue is we'll grant you a variance, and then we'll just turn our back on it. So, it could be no. Then there's no violations. They just stick with the current zoning. So I'm a little bit concerned about the current zoning being changed too. So we've got this changing stuff. And I think that it's not just that it's not being enforced. I think it's actively being undermined. I've talked to some of the people around, and they go, "No, we've talked to the city, and the city has given us permission for these short-term rentals," and so, as you know, I keep going. This is a year into it now, and we're still. I had people at the house next door. I'm like, I don't know if that's them or they're renting it or who it is, but I don't have a neighbor there. And is it a squatter or who is it? And some of these other facilities are empty, but they're just like waiting for something. And I almost feel like they have been talking to the city or something. They're saying, well, we're going to get this for you. And that bothers me. So the other thing at the planning commission meeting was talk about the rec stuff, and that was exciting too. I was super happy to be part of that. And the pickleball stuff that they were talking about, there's a lot, but my recommendation was pickleball in one central facility so everybody can gather there to play instead of having them here and there, because that will undermine pickleball everywhere. So I would like to invite you all to come out to the WEX and see how that works. I mean, you don't have to play. If you have tennis shoes on, I'm going to try and make you. But if you can get in there, because you can go anywhere with a paddle, and a lot of places without a paddle, and you get into a game. So you don't call people. You can come and go, and that's how that works. So that's why it's important to keep them together, even though it might be counterintuitive. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rick Torres. I live on 113 at Siegel Place. Which one of these works? There we go. Here in Cadillac. Councilmember King, I understand your distress with regards to lack of communication. The issue of communication is essential. Last summer, we were talking about the enforcement of the ordinance regarding short-term rentals. I was at a meeting recently where I said we need to give the ordinance some teeth. I don't understand why the council refuses to make an amendment to the ordinance that will impose fines on people that are continuing to rent their homes in the city of Cadillac in residential areas where they're prohibited. It's not happening. Now you all talk about enforcement. Right now you might be able to get it on the budget for next year, but what are they going to enforce if there's no teeth in the ordinance? There has to be a fine instituted. There has to be a penalty if they're going to continue to defy the ordinance. We have a verbal right up here in Caston Harris. I could have rented it this weekend. Historical home is how it's listed on Verbo. Check it out. I got it on my phone right now. And I tell you what, we gotta take action. If it means amendment to the budget to make this happen, then make an amendment to the budget. It can be done. And it must be done in order to show these people that are doing these activities that are in direct violation of a city ordinance that we're not just going to go tell them, can't do that. Okay, sure, you bet. And nothing else happens. It's not going to work that way. There has to be a penalty. You may not like it, but that's the way it is. Public servants have to show that integrity to the people they serve. And if they're not going to serve the people that they're supposed to be serving, then they should get out of public service. That's all there is to it. Create a good name for yourselves by doing what's in the best interest of the people that you serve in your community. I'll say it again. Give the ordinance some teeth. Without it, it's useless.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Joe Porterfield, Wexford County Administrator, and I just wanted to take a minute, and I know our Board of Commissioners would want me to say thank you to staff and to the council for approving those vacations tonight. That'll allow us to proceed with putting that property in one parcel and maybe moving forward with something that the board's been looking at for possibly building a new building. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Hello again. Kathy Moran, Executive Director of the Cadillac Area Visitors Bureau. Just wanted to share some information on a project we've been working on for a couple of years that launched this week, finally. We have now a ORV, OHV scenic ride connecting Wexford County roads that are open for ORV use, as well as 4-digit Forest Service roads, working with the Forest Service partners. So we have a full map. And really just, it's not a designated trail, it's just an opportunity for those, whether it's on a motorbike, ATV, side-by-side, or Jeep, to get out and traverse our countryside and hit up points of interest, places to eat, places to stay, and supporting small businesses in our region. So we do know that the numbers of ORV permits and licenses have increased upwards of 25% plus. I actually just saw some other statistics today. I mean, it's that snowmobiling was down, unfortunately, 28%, and ORV seems to be taking that up just because of the opportunity to utilize ORVs much more due to the unpredictable weather, but then also having an opportunity to use those year-round. So it's been a huge project for us and our stakeholders and our partners. I think we count nearly 40 or 50 stakeholder partners that we've been working with for this, and the city of Cadillac has been one of them, just to keep informed on that. And then one of the questions I've been asked already by my stakeholders in lodging properties is, well, how do we get into Cadillac West? And I'm like, first things first. Let's, we're out all throughout the pretty much the southwest part of the county, pretty much on the southern part of 115. That's mostly due to safety safety or lack thereof on 115, and working with the Sheriff's Department and the Road Commission, just finding safe crossings. So far we're primarily out in the Forest Service roads and kind of the M55 corridor that direction. We are looking at expanding potential phase 2, which those have already been in discussions, but we wanted to get this out and about. So just being aware of it, providing more opportunities for more tourism all year round, in addition to the other activities that we our small but mighty team takes on. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move. We'll go ahead and close public comment and move to good of the. Go ahead.
Can I do a public comment?
You sure can.
I came late. My name is Carol Bohorsky. I live on 423 Peter J. Street in Cadillac. I came to this meeting because the last meeting you had, I was walking home from the hospital. I was taken to the hospital on the Sunday before that your meeting, and by EMTs. I'm 72 years old. I was taken there by EMTs and police officers because I stopped breathing completely. Now I know this happens to other people. I'm a senior. I don't have anybody in Cadillac. I have nobody to call. So when they released me from Munson Hospital in the middle of the night, after working on me to get me to breathe again, I had no ride. I had two alternatives: walk home or sit on this dirty, nasty chair in the waiting area with a pillow and a blanket. There's feces in the bathroom. There's urine in the bathroom. I'm not going to sit there. I was just worked on for hours to get myself to breathe. I literally walked 3 miles from Munson to Kenwood Park with no coat, no hat, no gloves, no socks, just a sweatshirt, just a sweatpants, and these shoes. 3 miles. I have osteoporosis that's so bad that I had to go to the doctor's office 2 days later to get a painkiller, which put me out for maybe 24 hours. But the thing is, we have nothing here in Cadillac to help people who are released from the hospital in the middle of the night. And it wasn't like the hospital was jam-packed with people because the waiting area was dead. There was only one other woman in the emergency room, and they brought her in from a nursing home so her family could gather with her so she could die. So everybody else was just sitting around. They could not give me 10 minutes of time to take me 3 miles down the road. Instead, I had to walk it. And walking down Chestnut Street that whole distance, not one police car, not one vehicle passed me at all. And you would think with a brand new high school that we paid millions of dollars for, not one police car went past that high school. There's no lights. You don't want to walk on the sidewalk where the bushes are at because God knows who's going to come out and get you. So I walked right down the middle of the street. And thank God I had my purse with me because I could have beat the hell out of somebody who came near me. And then when you get past Leeson Avenue, or actually Linden Street, there is no sidewalks. So you have no choice but to walk down the middle of the street. And half the streetlights don't work, so you're walking in the dark. When I got home, I just remember walking home like this on one ear, and then this on the other ear. I was half frozen. The first thing I did when I got home was take all my clothes off and hit my shower, and just stood there until I could warm my body up. And my toes are still numb to this day, probably from frostbite. But like we never talk about this in Cadillac. There is no Ubers, there's no taxis, there's nothing for people who are released from the hospital in the middle of the night. And your choices are the dirty, nasty waiting room or walking home. So like I would volunteer because I can't sleep at night. I'm willing to take in the Cadillac area. The hospital calls me, I'll take somebody home, because hell, I wouldn't want anything like this to happen to anybody again. This was horrible. They just got me breathing, opened up my lungs, thank God, so I could walk 3 miles, but then I had to have medication to take care of my hips from walking the distance. And I didn't want to sit down at this high school to rest because I didn't think I would be able to get back up. And that's just what I want to say. You know, you talk about A+ for this lab and A+ for that. Well, the emergency room deserves an F. They don't take care of their patients. They take care of them, but then they send them on their merry way. And like there was no patients in there. No, somebody could have taken me home. It would have taken 10 minutes out of their time, but they didn't offer.
I'm sorry that this happened to you, and I appreciate you coming to share your story. Mm-hmm. And I hope that you are feeling better.
Yeah, I'm getting back there.
Okay. But that's the end of the public comment time.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I'll give you my phone number next time you need a ride. Call me anytime. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to good of the order. Should anyone on council have anything that they'd like to share? Okay.
I do. First of all, I too am sorry that that happened to you, and I think the spirit of our community just piped up when Pollyanna said, I'll give you my number. I know there are people that are always ready and willing to help. There have been times that someone throws something out on Facebook, my kid needs a ride back from work, it's late at night, it's freezing cold, and I go and do that. Right. But so that's the spirit of our community. I'm glad to see that. I also want to give a little information about some youth council things, as always. We have 3 dates set, reserved. They're already reserved, Owen. So for movies in the park this summer. And the first one is June 14th, and we're going to be showing Cars. Then July 26th, we're going to be showing The Fox and the Hound. And August 16th, we'll be showing Zootopia. And these all happen down at the Pavilion, free to the public. We are looking for sponsors who are willing to make donations to help us cover the cost of these movies. I don't know what each one runs about.
It's about $400
It's
for
about
just the
$400
licensing.
a movie. Yeah. We have to get licensed to show them. So if there's anyone out there who would like to do that, you can donate directly to the city with it earmarked for the movies in the park. Other than that, we've got some graduating seniors on youth council. So if you are a youth in and around the city of Cadillac and want to join our team, there is a link to information about the Cadillac Mayor's Youth Council on the website, along with a link to the application.
What age groups?
It's high school age.
Okay, 8th grade up?
Yes.
Okay.
8th grade up.
Okay. Kathy, was this available at the Visitors Bureau?
Yes, we have boxes of them that were
Okay.
delivered.
I'll put in a plug for this. I ride a bike, and if anybody rides a bike that's looking for a trail to ride, Michigan Trail Magazine, very impressive. If you go out of town and you're looking for someplace to ride, stop in the Visitors Bureau and pick it up.
We're an advertiser in there, so apparently that warrants us getting 12 cases left on our doorstep. Which is okay, because then we in turn hand them out. But I know they can also be purchased, I think, like Horizon Books and other places actually sell
Okay.
them, but we just,
Right.
hand them out.
And I'd like to echo TI sentiments with Mrs. Torres over there. That's what makes Cadillac a special place.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll echo again. If you had not come and told us your story, we wouldn't know that that was an issue at night for people. So that, and again, this is televised. We all have connections with the hospital. I'm sure they'd be interested in it, and then getting the spirit of the community involved too. So I think you brought a very important issue to light.
Because I didn't know who else to go to.
Yeah, and we thank you for that. May 20th is, in my mind, a very important date with the meeting that we're going to have. As I said, I got call after call after call after the newspaper article. I am begging people, come in and let us hear you and hear what we have to say about enforcement. That is a critical issue, and the issue of communication I want addressed. I don't want citizens feeling, A, they're not being heard, B, they're not receiving service because we're not enforcing our ordinances, and C, they know how to ask for those enforcement services in an easy manner. So thank you, and please stay involved. No one's bothering me with calls. I laugh because sometimes the first 15 seconds are apologies. We hate to bother you. That's why I'm doing this. So I'm here to listen. I know others are here to listen. But please come and give us your input.
Owen?
Couple of things I wanted to very briefly mention. The bridge is done, so if you've been walking, it looks really, really nice. They did a great job, and we're really glad to have that done prior to it really getting busy. So next time you're on the trail, check out the new surface of the bridge. Speaking of movies, we are very confident that there will be sound for those movies because Wednesday the speakers are supposed to get installed. So if there are any programming issues, that gives us plenty of time to work out any of those issues. But they are scheduled at this point to be here on Wednesday. Saturday, May 11th is our next Household Hazardous Waste Disposal Day, and that's something we always want to note. And May 18th is Parks Cleanup Day, so if there are groups that want to volunteer for that, that's May 18th. And you can find information on both of those events on our website.
Tires at HHW this time. We're
Oh,
taking
that's
tires.
great information. Is there a cost to the tires?
No cost, 4 from each resident.
4 from me. Okay, so important announcement. Again, the Household Hazardous Waste Day will accept tires, 4 tires from each resident. Have to be a city or county resident to be
City or
eligible.
county, yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and close. Go ahead and close comments, go to the order, and adjourn the meeting. Thank you for being here.